Welcome to Coffee and a Weather Map with Jeff. I should probably call this iced tea and a weather map with Jeff, since I'm doing this in the afternoon and I am indeed drinking iced tea. And this is the South Texas edition. I'm just going to go through some of the analysis and the outlooks from SPC and WPC here. Also the Hurricane Center as well. We've got a few things to talk about there. But as far as the forecast here, I'm just trying to keep this nice and short since things have been a little hectic on the schedule wise. Right now I am on the boat by myself, sitting on the back deck, enjoying the nice weather here. We've gotten back to a little bit more summertime pattern in northern Michigan, here in Boyne City, where I have been at. If you've noticed on the Facebook or Instagram accounts, well, actually on the X too, I posted a few of those northern lights from last night that we saw. So hopefully you enjoy seeing some of that. That was first time we've seen it probably in a few years. Missed out on some of those ones that have happened here more recently when we were still in South Texas. So it's been kind of fun to be able to see them again. I do think we're going to go into a more quiet period coming up as far as that's going. I think we've hit the peak. So things should start to wind down for the next 11 or so years based on the cycle. Okay. Problem with iced tea is I like to crunch the ice. So, all right, to get on with what's going on, we have an area of high pressure over South Texas. It's been kind of a, I don't know, a nebulous pattern isn't much to say. It's more of a quiet, sort of semi-dry pattern. There's been some rain showers and thunderstorms that have gotten in there. I know that friends of mine from South Texas were talking about the rain showers that they had over top of everything. Otherwise, if we look across the rest of the nation, out to the west, we have a couple of upper level lows. It looks like those would go into the upper Great Lakes, except for this high and actually this low. We have a high over low situation that's known as a Rex block, and so that's going to push all those those low pressure systems to the north of the Great Lakes. And so that's just going to kind of keep everything the way it is until all this kind of moves on to the east here a little bit. I know that these upper level lows here around the Carolinas are going to expected to move off over the next couple of days though. So we will start getting a breakdown of that ridge up here eventually. Otherwise, South Texas doesn't look like it's going to change a whole lot. If we take a look at the overall pattern, like I said, things aren't moving a whole lot. We do have where those upper level lows are over the Carolinas. This surface low is related to them, and of course they'll move out over top of it, and as everything kind of stalls right now. The stationary fronts will kind of maintain here for the next couple of days-ish. They may start to move a little bit more to the east here by Wednesday. Otherwise, they're just stationary fronts for the next day and a half or so. And then there is another reinforcing cool shot that's trying to move across the plains out of the Rockies. We'll see how far that gets. Not a whole lot in the way of movement because of that block that's currently sitting over the upper Great Lakes and the southeastern states. As we get into South Texas itself, you can see a lot of the winds are kind of all pointing in towards the coast. You've got that southeast or easterly component off of the Gulf, and then you've got some really light winds from the upper or the surface high over the region trying to push in there, which kind of helps to give some convergence and for showers and thunderstorms. And you can see that they are getting some rain around the area. Kind of take a look at that a little bit more in detail, looking at the satellite shot, and that is you see that the clouds are beginning to blossom there, especially along the middle Texas coast where their showers and thunderstorms are starting to move in with the sea breeze. So to kind of take a look at what's going on across the country as far as SPC is concerned with the general thunder, There is an area out there with the upper level lows along the Carolinas and into the Virginia Capes, where there's some heavy rain and a marginal threat for some severe thunderstorms there. There's some out in the plains and southern Mississippi Valley, as that stationary front kind of stalls and showers and thunderstorms form on that. And then there's also another area of marginal up in Wyoming and South Dakota here for the day as well. Not quite sure. I haven't seen any lightning associated with any of the thunderstorms in South Texas. So this could be all rain showers, and it would not be surprising if some of them do have heavy rain. So SPC currently does not have a general outlook for the middle Texas coast there. But just beware, there is convection going on in the region. We do expect it, though, for tomorrow as things start to go along the middle Texas coast, deep South Texas, and then also in southeast and eastern Texas, going up into the Mississippi Valley and then back into the rest of the plains. We do have moisture that's trying to move up out of the west and south into Arizona and New Mexico. That should stay out of the rest of the state of Texas except for the Panhandle over the next 24 hours. And then for day 3, with that everything kind of slowly moving, we do expect a little bit down in South Texas, but mostly in deep South Texas. There's another little wave that's going down through Mexico. Not expecting a whole lot of going up through that. We'll kind of touch on that briefly with the tropical report section. That monsoonal moisture continues in Arizona and New Mexico, and then it goes right up into those fronts up to the north in the plains. Otherwise, everything else looks like it's just general thunder. As far as heavy rain is concerned, we only have that slight risk of excessive heavy rain in the Virginia Capes and the Outer Banks in North Carolina. We're not expecting anything in South Texas at this point or across the rest of the country. We will get some marginal ones out in the monsoonal moisture with Arizona and New Mexico. Nebraska, Colorado, Kansas area has a little bit there with some of those fronts and an area low pressure that's going to move through there, as well as then the stuff in the Virginia Capes and the northern part of the Outer Banks, but it also gets into the Delmarva Peninsula up there in Maryland and Delaware. And we're not really expecting anything heavy rain-wise for tomorrow in South Texas as well. And that continues on into Wednesday, so as far as Texas is concerned, except for up there in the Panhandle, there where it meets the Panhandle of Oklahoma, and up there near Raton, in the Raton Pass in New Mexico, as well as southeastern Colorado. There's a few areas of marginally heavy rain that will be in that area, as well as in the Dakotas and down in Nebraska. Now to kind of talk a little bit about the tropics, we do have 92L from what I've been able to see. That is started finally, well, hasn't formed. I mean, it's a healthier tropical wave than what we've seen here as of late. We'll see how this gets handled. The models do suggest that it is moving into an area that's favorable for development. So we could end up with a tropical cyclone depression coming up here. Some of the models have suggested it would get higher than that eventually as it recurves off to the northeast. And right now, the models all suggest it's before it gets to Bermuda, and it would stay out of, or just barely graze the Lesser Antilles there along the northern side. So we'll see how this goes. It doesn't seem to be that there's going to be a threat to South Texas with this, or anywhere in the Gulf with this particular wave. We continue to watch, though, because we are just past the peak of the tropical season. But if you saw the graphic that I reposted on my story today, as well as I think in my feed from the Corpus Christi office, they are now starting to head out of the tropical season. Usually it ends pretty quickly for South Texas in September, with with usually not a whole lot of occurrences after that. It's not that they can't happen, but they typically don't. So we're getting out of the bulk of the season there in Texas. As far as the tropical season is concerned, we'll just have to watch to see how these things develop. We did have Milton late in the season, but Milton, because of it was so late in the season, instead of moving from the east and going west into everything, it formed south of Texas and moved from the west to the east, because that's the way the jet stream starts to push down and push things along back the way it goes for the winter time and the fall. So this is the transition period. That's why we don't usually see a whole lot going into the rest of the season. Kind of take a look at that with the satellite shot. This is I think it's just the IR. It's not the sandwich type, which in hindsight I probably should have done, but that's okay. Here is 92L. It does look much healthier than the last time we've seen anything. Although the last time we saw something in this general area that looked healthy, eventually the next day it looked non-healthy, and eventually they had to kill that one. Well, and that was 91L, which is no longer on here. There are a couple other weak waves that are going on that don't look all that impressive going on into here. And as I said, there is some areas of thunderstorms that have been forming along the Texas coast, or at least or in the Bay of Campeche, and that can affect deep South Texas. But in general, it looks like most of it should be contained in South Texas, should be contained to the coastal bend. All right. And just to kind of show you where that is, here, there's the general development region. It could, the X is where the wave currently is. The whole red area is where it's expected to try to develop into a tropical depression. And we'll see over the next 7 days, there's an 80% chance. Over the next 2 days, there's a 40% chance of this happening. This remains to be seen. Most of the models suggest that this portion of it, getting right where the red is, that it stays less than at tropical storm strength at the most. It's not till it gets up towards here, up by where it says the Saragossa Sea, that it starts to turn more hurricane-ish, if that strength is to be believed. And then it starts to recurve pretty quickly once it gets there, and it misses Bermuda there. So we will see how this turns out over the next couple of days and see what this is. This has been a rather, and I knock on wood when I say this, a rather lackluster season. We were expecting some things, not quite as much as quiet as it was. I was expecting it to be more active, but not as active as some people were. We'll just put it that way. Just a kind of a typical one, but this one has been a little bit quieter. But there are some now more mitigating factors as far as climate teleconnections, which I'll try to go into at some time in more length in another video. All right, with that, I think that is it. So for this afternoon's coffee and a weather map, or as I said, it's an iced tea for the South Texas edition. Have a great day. Take care.